Hey everyone, Kareem Rae here, and today I have Brandon Miller on with us. Brandon, how's it going?
Going pretty well. How you doing, Kareem?
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I've looked into you a little bit. I've seen the interviews that you do. I love what you're doing with the company, so on and so forth. But before we dive into that, you know, can you introduce yourself to the viewers real quick?
Yeah, Brandon Miller, former professional soccer player, recently retired. Spent 10 years in the USL, playing professionally. Won a championship, won a number of individual awards throughout my career. I grew up playing soccer, played for about 26 years since I was 5 years old. Um, and I played throughout my youth for various youth clubs and the development academy, and then went to the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, where I played Division One soccer for 3.5 years, and then went on to sign my first professional contract, and basically been doing that ever since.
That's amazing. 26 years, that's almost 3 decades. You played in the USL Championship, correct?
Yes,
And you guys have won. How many championships have you guys won?
I personally won one championship in my career.
Yeah, that's huge. That's massive. Okay, so we'll tap into that. And then I do want to mention your company here. It's called Prime Focus Goalkeeping. That's something I want to tap into a little bit later on into the interview. But let's first get to know you a bit more. So, how'd you get introduced to football?
When I was younger, probably when I was about 5 years old, my dad signed me up for like a local church league. And I used to play in the field and just love running around and scoring goals. So, it kind of just stuck with me, and it was something I enjoyed doing, and I got better and better at it, and eventually switched to playing goalkeeper and realized how good I was at that. And then it was something I could I could potentially do for a long time. So I just stuck with it and kept enjoying it, and it turned into a career.
Right. So when you started playing at 5, was your position, obviously your position wasn't goalkeeper at the start, right? Like you obviously played outfield first, and then how old were you when you started playing goalkeeper? And then yeah.
I'd probably say about 10, 9 or 10. When I started playing like full time. I just was never really a big fan of running around. When you're younger, the fields are small and you're young. It's fun to just run around with your friends. But when the field gets bigger and you got to start running around more, and you have positions and things get a little bit more structured, it wasn't as fun for me, and I didn't enjoy it. So, uh, had the opportunity to go and goal one day, and kind of just stuck.
So just talk a little bit about that first experience about because for 5 years, 5 to 10, that's 5 years you were playing out on the field, and then when you reached 10, you started to play goalkeeper. So what happened to you, once you got your chance to play in the net? Like what changed for you in your mind that made you say like, yo, this is my position, this is what I want to play?
I think I just was good at it. I was good at catching the ball. I had good hand-eye coordination. I was pretty athletic, so um, it was something I was good at, and I felt like there wasn't really many teammates that I had that were able to do kind of the same things I was doing in terms of keeping the ball in the net. So it just made sense for me to stay there, and it meant less running. So why not?
Got it. So you're located in the States. What part of the States are you in?
North Carolina.
So did you grow up playing there, or did you end up like moving around?
I was born in Ohio, and I lived there for about 6 years, and then eventually moved down to North Carolina for most of my youth career. So I spent most of my time playing soccer here in North Carolina.
Okay, got it. So the question is, how did you become a professional footballer?
I mean, just an opportunity came along, and I took it. I was played collegiately at University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I went there specifically because the head coach there, Aiden Heaney, was a former MLS player and a former MLS goalkeeper, and I felt like he would be able to help me develop throughout college as a goalkeeper, and get me to the level that I need to be at to reach the professional level. And I saw that he had done that before with another goalkeeper, Brad Knight, who's been in MLS for uh, 13, 14 years now. And so I felt like it would be a good environment for me to learn and grow. And so I chose to go there. And with his connections and his tutelage, I was able to get an opportunity in Rochester right out of college, and so I took it.
Got it. So you graduated high school, then you went to university. You knew that this coach had a track record of helping players navigate to the pro system, but how did you navigate to get to university? Was that something always in the plan? Was it ingrained into you from your parents? Or, how were you able to navigate from high school to university?
I mean, it's a little bit different than it is nowadays. Like, with MLS academies and young players having opportunities at the professional level, both overseas and here in the United States, as is growing both at MLS and USL level. It wasn't the same when I was younger. The path was pretty much either go overseas and get an opportunity, or go to college. And I actually was exploring. One of my youth coaches was former England international, and he was talking to me about potentially going over to Europe and seeing about opportunities over there. But at the time, I just, I wasn't ready to take that leap. Was I talented enough? Maybe, but I wasn't sure that that's the path that I wanted to take. And we had looked into different universities, and Wilmington was a place that I knew that I wanted to be, both for education and for soccer. So I didn't really go through a massive recruiting process. I kind of knew where I wanted to be.
Got it. So, I mean, that's amazing that you knew where you wanted to be, because not a lot of people have that, right? Not a lot of people know where they want to be sometimes. So what advice would you share with players that may not have the support or guidance to navigate through the university system to go from high school to college or university? What advice would you share with them?
I think the biggest thing for me that I kind of wish I would have done a bit more research on was just understanding the different levels that are available and the different opportunities. I think too often players get caught up in Division One. I want to be a Division One athlete, and while it is the highest level, it's not the only level, and it's not the only competitive level, and it's not the only way to make it to the professional level. And so, myself, I didn't even look at D2 and D3 schools because I just felt like I was too good for that. And I don't think that needs to be the case. I think there's USL, or the highest level in the US, and there's plenty of D2 and D3 players that play professionally all over the world. And so I think that just cutting that off. I understand having goals and I understand having targets, but you limit yourself if you're not willing to at least explore all the opportunities that you have. And so I think that's the biggest thing, and being proactive. Not waiting on schools to come look at you. If you know where you want to go, you want to do your research and figure out what's best for you education wise and what's best for you soccer wise. Then put together a list and just be proactive and reach out to those schools and get them on your radar, and you get on their radar, because that's the most important thing. I've been a college coach before, and there's 1,000 kids in your email asking for scholarship money or come to watch them play. So you got to be persistent with it, because I may see an email, I may not, but being persistent is going to get you the opportunities that you need, both at the college level and the professional level.
That's great insight. Are you still a college scout?
No, I did that for 1 year. I worked with a D3 school in Pennsylvania, which was a great experience. It was when I was exploring my desire to coach, whether it was collegiately or youth. But it was a good experience, a learning experience for me.
Yeah, nice. Let's tap into the exciting stuff now. So you went to university. Did you graduate university?
I did, yeah.
What'd you graduate with? What'd you go to school
for? Marketing degree.
Nice. And did you enjoy it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my time at school, and I enjoyed learning. I have a business appetite as well as a sports appetite, so it was good to be able to tap into the business side of things and learn as much as I can while I was there. It wasn't always easy, it wasn't always fun, but I did enjoy my time on the educational side at Wilmington.
Got it. So boom. So Brandon, you graduate from university. You know what your next step is. You want to go pro. Can you share with us what that experience was like for you and signing your first professional contract? I want to drop some numbers here real quickly. There's 250 million players worldwide that play soccer or football at different levels, but there's only 130,000 pro players in the world. This was back in 2019, according to FIFA's 2019 report. So that's not even 1%. So this is it's a massive thing, right? That you were a part of for 10 years. So, can you just share your experience with us of how that was for you?
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting when you look at the stats like that, because being in it, you don't really think about it like that, because I think about growing up in high school and you're competing with such a large pool of players, and you realize who the talented players are and who are the ones that are going to reach a higher level, and so you start competing with them, and that pool starts to dwindle. Starts to go down once you hit college, and you're still competing with those players, but maybe there's a few less players, right? So I as I continue to move up and go professional, and I'm still competing with players, I'm still competing with people that I knew were the talented ones, I knew were going to make it, and so I don't really look at it like, oh, I'm one of you know 250 million. I think of like, hey, I'm that guy made it, I need to make it, that guy made it, I need to make it, and so you don't really look at it on the grander scale of like, it is very hard to make it to the professional level, whatever level it is, whether it's MLS, USL. um, it's difficult, and so I remember when I signed my first contract, it I thought it would be life changing. It was more so just like, all right, this is a job now, which I was happy about. Don't get me wrong, I was grateful for the opportunity, but it wasn't a massive change for me. I just realized that I get to continue playing soccer, and now I got to take it a little bit more seriously. And you think about the jump to the professional level, and whether you're going to be ready or not, and it's about adapting. It's just like anything else in life. You got to adapt to the new environment, the new situation you're in. And I feel like I adapted pretty quickly, and I was able to continue to be successful. I didn't get a lot of playing time my rookie year, but I think I adapted to the level pretty well.
What would you say is the difference between college, university to pro?
Everyone's going to say speed of play and things like that. And yeah, that is a big difference, but you adapt to that pretty quickly. The biggest challenge for me, it was going from, I played college from August to, beginning of November, whereas professional season, I started beginning of March. And at that time, it was only 6 months, but it's still a long time, right? So we went from the beginning of March to the beginning of, or the end of August, I believe. And, having to be consistent day in and day out for 6 months is a lot more challenging than people think, uh, and especially at the professional level where you show inconsistency and you can lose your job, lose your living, how you pay your bills, and so it's a little bit more cutthroat. It's a lot more competitive, and it's just learning to adapt to the consistency, was the biggest thing for me.
Got it. So did anything change for you? Like once you signed pro, did people start to treat you different? Did things come easier? Like what things changed after you signed pro? Because that's a status change, right?
Yeah, I mean the USL wasn't as glamorous back then as it was now, so it wasn't really like a massive announcement or thing. For me, it was more so, hey, congratulations on signing pro, and but it wasn't. There's I think getting drafted in the MLS is a special feeling, and signing your first contract, whether it's MLS or USL, is a special feeling. But I don't think a lot really changed for me in terms of myself or people around me.
Hmm. And what would you say on this? Like, there's only 2 to 3 positions as a goalkeeper, right? But there's like 20 to 25 player positions, outside field players. So that means it's even harder to go pro for goalkeepers. Would you agree with me or would you disagree?
Yeah, I mean, it's you kind of understand that when you get into the position. I guess maybe you don't understand it until you start to play at a higher and competitive level, maybe at the youth level, and then you start to realize you got to start competing for playing time. And you get to college, and you realize there's very limited playing time, and you may not. I didn't see the field for the first, I saw very limited playing time my first 3 years in college. And so, once you get to the professional level, you realize, you know, there's, you threw out numbers before, there's still a large number. You look at how many, you just look at Division 1 college soccer programs, and you think about, and maybe like there's 200, Division 1 programs with 3 goalkeepers each. You're looking at 600 goalkeepers right there, and say a third of them are seniors and looking to go pro. Your numbers are pretty high, but there's only so many professional teams. There's 30. Well, now there's about 40 USL teams and 30 something MLS teams. So you're looking at 70 teams that you know you have an opportunity to try out for. But there's a large number of goalkeepers looking for spots as well. So it's a very limited pool. So it's tough. It's tough to make it professionally, and it's really tough to make it professionally as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, it's hard for players to go pro, and it's even harder for goalkeepers to go pro, and it's pretty impressive that you were able to do that. So, what advice would you share with for goalkeepers that want to be in your position that you were in when you were playing? What advice would you share with them?
To be honest, I think it's a really humbling experience. I think you got to be patient. You got to stay confident, but you also got to, kind of humble yourself and be willing to take opportunities. I've been in this game 10 years, and I've seen a lot, and I've seen a number of young goalkeepers who didn't have the patience, or were too cocky and weren't willing to take on opportunities in lower leagues, or go out on loan and do things, and their careers were very short. And it's the same thing I'll tell college goalkeepers now. Like, just because you get drafted doesn't mean that your career's set up and you're good. There's plenty of players who get drafted and then don't get signed, and now you're on a journey looking for a team, right? And you just got to be patient, and you got to be willing to kind of wait your turn, because especially as a goalkeeper, like you said, there's three positions, but there's only one that's playing. And there's some teams where one goalkeeper will play the entire season, right? So two other goalkeepers didn't get the opportunity to show themselves that season. And so, especially the goalkeeping position where everyone wants experience, everyone wants, a goalkeeper who has a number of games. Well, coming straight out of college is kind of tough to get games, right? So you have to kind of figure out what the best path is for yourself, and seek out opportunities and be able to be ready and prepared to take those opportunities.
Got it. Last two questions. You've played in front of thousands and thousands of fans. What was that experience like? Not everyone gets that chance to be performing or playing in front of thousands of people, right?
I think the best environment I can think of, the one where I felt like it was really special, was probably back in 2017. I played in Cincinnati, and I think there were, I can't remember, somewhere between 15 and 20,000 fans at the game, and a large portion of my family was at the game, and that was probably one of the best environments I've been in, where we're playing a good team, competitive, in a great environment, and my family getting the opportunity to see me perform. I think that was one of the best feelings, to be able to show I'm a pro, and show that I can do this at a high level. That was probably one of the best feelings.
Nice. Last question. What's your most, well, that would probably be your most soccer memory, right?
I mean, if we're talking about one individual memory, it's always going to be winning a championship. I don't think people really understand the feeling when that final whistle goes. Just the entire season just culminates into one moment where you're together with your teammates. You guys have worked so hard for a season and all work towards one goal, and you finally achieved it. That it's a hard feeling to understand. It's a hard feeling, or it's hard to explain. The week leading up to it, and knowing you're one of the only players out here training. There's 30 other teams and hundreds of other players who want to be in your spot. Like, there's that feeling, and that feeling of lifting the trophy, and the relief of finally doing it. And that feeling was probably the most memorable.
Nice. Yeah, not a lot of people get to have that too, right? So that's amazing. I'm gonna leave this towards the end. I'm gonna ask you about your company. We're just gonna finish off here. So the 5 speed questions. Brandon, you gotta answer them like quick. It's pretty simple. So the first one is who's your favorite team?
Liverpool FC.
Favorite player?
Brandon Miller.
Favorite cleats?
I'd say Copas.
Favorite food?
Enchiladas.
And last one, favorite artist?
Favorite artist, Miguel.
Miguel, nice. So Brandon, was there anything that you wanted to add, or is there anything like I'm missing?
No, I mean, I think that covered my career pretty well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so before we go, I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the One Soccer Nation podcast today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I really do.